Welcome back to our Rise of the Ronin video. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most important things, I believe, for you when you're starting off with Rise of the Ronin. As you guys know, I love doing setting videos because the quality of life and it just improves your gameplay and experience. So we're going to dive in right now. Thank you for tuning in. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, first things first. In controllers, this is probably going to be the number one tip for everybody is go into your controllers and you're going to see that on default, you're going to have to hold circle. And this is not a good mechanic. It's just not traditional for the most part. If you're willing to do it, go ahead. But I would switch over to hold to sprint, and that puts the sprint button on the analog. And you're going to be able to just push that in and be able to run. And everything else is still the same. So there's not much changing, as you can see. They did a good job of allowing people to customize it. But just put that on hold to sprint, and you should be fine. Okay, now we're just going to run through a lot of key things. And I mean, we're going to be here making sure you guys are set to go. There's plenty of things in here for you. Okay, so one of the biggest things that you might struggle with is the critical hit / assassination button. It doesn't always pop up, and you have to turn this on to be able to have that effect consistently. Okay, so make sure that this is on, and you're going to be able to see every single time that you need to. Okay, then when we go into controller settings, there's a couple of things that I want to try and touch on, and we still can look into later on, like walking and running sensitivity. I haven't really tested this enough yet, but this is one of the biggest ones. Hold time. Okay, every single time you interact with an item, whether it's a banner or picking up something or anything like that, you have to hold the button. But with this, you can minimize it. I say 2 to 3 is the best right now. 3 feels very good, and that's what I'm going with. And I'll update, of course, and let you guys know if something changes. But that's it right there with that. Now with locked on, personally, I leave all of that the same. Nothing to worry about. But right here, one of the most critical. This is a lot of loot in this game, and you're going to be picking up probably thousands if you do a full run of this game, all the side missions, main missions. So, auto collect items is critical to turn on. This is off by default. Okay, everything I'm showing you is me customizing this as much as humanly possible. Okay. Now, speed. This is for your camera when you're moving, looking left and right. Okay. It's at default at 5. You want to put it at 7 or higher. 7 gives you the speed to be able to look around, react to enemies, all of that good stuff. All right. Now, aiming, I personally like default or lower so that you can have a steady aim. I don't think it's necessary to switch that. One of the bigger ones that I think isn't personal preference, but a useful tool. Your camera's a little bit up close, but in the middle of a fight, you're going to have multiple guys surrounding you. So you want to put the distance as far as possible. Okay, so just turn that up and you're good to go. There is one big setting in the audio here. Everything else will be preference, which is audio output. This automatically goes to stereo. But let's say you have a headset on, you want that 3D audio effect. Let's say you have surround sound, you want to put it on surround sound. Usually most games allow that to change on their own, but this one is default to stereo. So make sure you look into that. And another one that's really about preference. I know that this is a PlayStation 5 exclusives. FPS to me is the most important. So I keep it here. You can go ahead and change it if you want, but this has a lot of high, fast action. So you want to have it at the best performance. Now, the reason why we're in here is actually because of motion blur and chromatic right here. These two, you should turn them off. Now, if you do have motion sickness a lot, you can turn this on, but this game doesn't really do a lot of crazy movement other than when you're gliding and things like that. You're pretty much just running and fighting. So I would turn off motion blur. and this one. And we still have to test these to decide. I tend to check after a couple of hours of play on those things. Okay. And that's pretty much the core of the settings when it comes to everything that I've seen so far. Game is running very fluid. Really love it. I do want to talk about one little thing, which is the number of loadouts. This is a critical thing to start off. You could probably go with 3. And what this is when you're in the menu, you can see, oh, I hit the banner. Oh, there you go. Live presentations. So if I press a D-pad, I'm able to move left and right. I only have 2 slots you see on the bottom left. And in the setting that I just showcased, you're able to swap that out to 3 later on. It's at default at 3, but you don't need 3 because in the middle of a fight, you want to have 2. I put it at 3 once I get deeper into the game, but for now, I keep it at 2. And there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to the overall gaming experience with this game, as far as settings and breakdowns on what you can do. And I want to make a bunch of videos, but I do want to just run through the things you can expect, or you can go look right now on what I have. The combat styles, we're going to do deep dives into all of the combat styles, teaching you what's best and how to set things up when it comes to play style. And there's some really cool in-depth things. For example, entry attacks. There's going to be specific attacks that you can do that are going to be very helpful for you to get into a fight. Then there'll be things that are more defensive, or even something to attack multiple enemies instead of just one. So we're going to be looking into that, going deep down the rabbit hole, and so on. And then the same thing with stats, aka your skills here. There's a skill tree, and you're able to unlock everything. So don't worry too much. But the key here is to focus on what you feel is best. Do not overload. And I do have videos for this, but you want to be able to select the things that you might need. And there's plenty of them, and I have guides for that, so you can check that out. All right. Now, to understand the systems as you go later on, and again, this is right before the game release, this footage here, but the systems are working with the stats of your character and the weapons. So make sure you check that video breakdown out as well. And that's pretty much it. This is very early on my second account. I wanted to do a settings video and show you guys what it is. But feel free to go right now and look at our next guide. It should be popping up on the screen. We see you there. Appreciate you.